Cahill. Step 1.
The hook we're going to use for this fly is a standard number 12 dry fly hook, and we're going to use some 6/0 black tying thread, and just want to coat the base of the hook so we have a good base to tie our tail on.
Step 2.
And here we've chosen a dry fly quality brown neck hackle.
What part do you know to take the fibers from on the feather? What determines that?
You want to take from the center portion of the feather or towards the tip, because that part is far from the webbier section of the hackle. You want to make sure all the tips are even, and the total length of the tail should be about the same as the hook shank length. You want to make sure all those fibers are tied directly on top of the hook and not hanging over the side or underneath.
Step 3.
Now what we're going to do is choose the wings for this fly, which are made from the body feather of a duck. And you want 2 equal feathers with fairly flush tops to them. You want all the tips to match up.
So you're saying that all the lengths of fiber are flat on the top and give you a nice equal length?
Correct, exactly. So that way when our wings are posted directly straight up, the tips of the fibers will all be equal. Now we're going to push the 2 feathers together in a cluster and press them fairly tight. We're tying in the wing now about the same length as the hook shank, pointing directly out over the eye of the hook. You want to leave a little bit of space between the eye and the wing and cut this part on an angle, and that way it'll keep a nice tapered body when we dub over it.
Step 4.
Now what we're going to do is called posting the wing, which causes it to stand nice and erect. Wrapping a little bit of thread to one side of the wing. Now we're going to divide it with the needle, with the dubbing needle. Try and get them as equal as possible. We're going to start to figure 8 in between these 2 wings.
How far apart do you want the wings to be from each other?
You want them to be pointed at about a little bit less than a 45-degree angle out from the fly. A little bit more upwards than that. There, you can see right there.
Handling them a lot?
Yeah, you want to twist them with your fingers in order to get them in the right position.
Step 5.
It doesn't hurt to glue the wings in place. Using this, we'll use some Zap-A-Gap, which dries fairly fast. That's why I like to use this. It just keeps your wings from moving around. Trying to get it right at the base of the feather. You don't really want to let it get absorbed into too much of the fibers itself.
Step 6.
Now we're going to add a little bit of Blue Dun superfine dubbing, something that will repel water. Muskrat or beaver, or a synthetic dry fly dubbing.
I noticed you pinched the end really tight and the rest of it was kind of thick.
Yeah, you want to have the tip, the initial part that hits the body of the dubbing, to be quite thin. This will help carry the whole body through with this nice taper. Leaving a bit of space to tie in the hackles.
Step 7.
Now we're going to use our hackle gauge in order to pick a couple hackles to match our number 12 hook.
How does that work? Do you bend that around the post there and then look for the hackle to reach a number that determines the size?
Exactly. That's exactly how it's done.
So, for instance, a 12 would be for a 12 hook.
You got it. Now we're going to we've chosen a few neck hackles, dry fly neck hackles, and we're using 4 here. And you know, it just depends on how long the length of how long the hackles are, and that'll determine how many you want to use. These are quite short, so we're going to have to use a few more. And we're tying them in with the underside of the hackle facing us, or directly facing up. I'm going to wrap 2 hackles at a time here, making a turn and holding the back of the feather with my finger to keep it from unraveling, or hackle pliers. With hackle pliers, you can only use 1 feather at a time, though. going to get the most out of those feathers that we can.
You're saying because they're so short, you're using 4 of them, whereas a longer hackle would just wind around a little bit more than these are.
Exactly. With a saddle hackle, you can make a lot more turns with one hackle, so you don't have to use as many. Tie those off. Snip them nice and neat, right in tight. Doesn't hurt to get rid of a few of those stray fibers. Not absolutely necessary, but makes the fly look a little neater.
Step 8.
Now we'll just come in with the whip finish. Make sure we keep all those hackles out of the eye of the hook.
Nice looking fly.
And now you can come in and just trim some of those extra fibers out of the way. Neaten it up a bit. See, those hackles should extend past the hook point.
So they're a little longer than the gaps, what you're saying?
Exactly, they'll aid in floating the fly. And the wing should be about the length of the hackle or slightly longer.
You can just barely make it out there that it is a little longer.
Now from there to the tail is where the fly is going to rest. That way it'll give it a nice angle in the water and look natural. This is an excellent mayfly pattern, tied in many different colors.